Welcome everybody tonight to We the People of Eastern Kentucky, and we hope that your last week was great. And we're going to have a really good special guest with us tonight. We're excited to death to have Judge Matthew Wireman coming in here in a few minutes to be able to share some great things. Super Judge done a lot of great things for us here in Magoffin County and also in Eastern Kentucky. And he's going to be able to share a lot of those things, hopefully, with a lot of things that are going on in economic development. We'll talk with him a little bit later on. We're going to find out a little bit maybe about his background and all that kind of stuff too. So like we've done with a lot of our other guests. But to start off tonight, I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors. It's BML Business Alliance. And Business Alliance is basically an organization that works as a consulting firm that goes with you and anything on business development, whether it be restructuring your company, marketing, things of that nature. You can get hold of BML Business Alliance. You can contact me. And my email is terry.salyer14@gmail.com. And also my phone number is 606-367-3839. And I'll be there to be able to help in any situation you have with your business. Some of the background I've done, I've worked with Mountain Association, which is an economic development organization here in Eastern Kentucky that serves around 52 counties. And I have a lot of clients through Mountain Association that we work with on enabling their business to grow or prosper in Eastern Kentucky. And that's one of the things we want to talk about. So we have some other sponsors, don't we there, Mr. Cody?
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and send it over to John to read our list of current sponsors. Go ahead, John.
Hey guys, Big John here. We got our sponsors, techholler.com, the Tracked Outdoors hunting show, local show shot in Salyersville, Kentucky. They got a Facebook page, a YouTube channel. Check
Great.
those guys out. We got Jessica D. Williams Photography. She's a wonderful photographer. You can find her over on Facebook. Just look for Jessica D. Williams. We got Creekside Stitching and Feed, a great stitching store. You can get anything made with Magoffin County on it. You got the Appalachia TCG Community Gaming Group. Awesome guy. We help run that through Appalachia Insider. We got the Parkway Peddlers Mall, Crash Primitive Farmhouse, Furniture, Jewelry, Electronics, Gifts, and Refreshments. We got Sloan Chiropractic. If you got a problem with your back, call Zach. I highly recommend that. He's fixed my back many times.
Yeah.
And we got the Royalton Community Council Events and Community. They want you to visit their website, www.royaltoncc.org, for more events and more. And they also got a Facebook page.
Great.
Turn it back over to you guys.
We got a super line of guests coming up in the future. Zach Hall will be here. He's a gentleman that's running for representative down in the Hazard area in Perry County and Knott and down that direction. So he's going to come and share a little bit about his candidacy and what his ambitions are for Eastern Kentucky and how we can grow and do some great things there. We also have a group that we had one time. We had some technical difficulty. CASA, which is Abused Children organization that works with the local judges in the area. They're actually in 6 counties right now, but they're kicking off here in July in Magoffin County. They're expanding into our area. So we were going to be talking with them about that first week in June there. But don't forget about our 4th week there of a month is coming up. Is you asked for it. So any topics, any things that you want to talk about, please submit those, through emails or whatever. You can get them to us on Facebook pages or whatever, but let us know what you want to hear and people you want to see and all that kind of deal out there. So a lot of guests coming up, and now always before it was so difficult to try to get guests, Cody. Now people are calling us and saying we want to be a part of what you're doing, so I think that's a positive thing. And most importantly, we want to thank Appalachian Insider and Big John out there for helping produce our shows. He does a great job, and it's a tremendous influence. And you'll see probably on your Facebook notifications recently in this past week where we're promoting his business a little bit more. And if you have things that you're interested in, topics or different podcasts, things of that nature, ideas, submit those into Appalachian Insider. I know Big John will look at those and give you a good look-see and maybe contact you with that.
Real quick, Terry.
Yeah.
Just a quick plug, Appalachia Insider has 1 million active readers. If you own your local business.
They've got 1 million readership.
We have 1 million active readers.
Wow.
If you own your own local business or organization looking to spread a word about what your business offers or the happenings, look no further than us. What we offer: promotions, share your business updates, special offers, upcoming events with us. We'll help spread the word about them on Facebook. We do a community spotlight, featured in the community spotlight post, showcasing the best of what Magoffin County has to offer. Event coverage, hosting of events. Let us know. We can help you plan, promote any highlights, anything that might be going on, and keep the buzz going for your events that you have coming up. Just send us a message, details about your business or event. Stay connected. You can reach us at AppalachiaInsider.com. You can reach us on contact at Magoffin News, MagoffinNews@gmail.com, and then we're always available through Facebook and social media.
That's awesome. 1 million?
1 million
People.
active readers.
Wow. That's a good reach out there, isn't it?
That's a big reach.
Yes, it is. So
Some stuff, those reels, they line up.
that's right.
Some things go real big.
That's right. So if you want to promote your business, you all get a hold of Appalachian Insider there, and I know that they can help you out, particularly with that type of circulation that they have, any business that you have.
We are planning to do a local business highlight.
Great.
Once we get time and baseball's over with for me, and go to some of these local businesses, take some pictures, promote them a little bit on our website, but
That'd be a good idea.
all free when
Yeah.
we get time, but have a local spotlight.
Yeah, as we've mentioned many times on the show, Terry, one of the reasons John and I started this, one of the reasons you and I started We the People of Eastern Kentucky, is we want to draw attention to Magoffin County and this community. So some of the things that we offer, like John mentioned, we're looking at doing a local business highlight.
That's
We're going to
great.
go around to local businesses, speak to the owners of these local small businesses, get a little information about them, do a small write-up,
Yeah.
try to see what we can do about taking some pictures and advertising for them, help them out.
That'd be awesome to be able to do some snippets or whatever, maybe to 10, 15-second spots, to be able to promote some of those businesses. And that's one of the things we try to do with the Alliance, is get people working together, networking. Well, we got a great guest tonight, and our 3 topics that we discuss here, We the People of Eastern Kentucky, are basically economic development. We also have what you call community involvement, and there's a lot of organizations you can get involved with out there. And then also, last but not least, we have political impact. And we are really, truly blessed to have a gentleman tonight who's been in a leadership role with us, and actually done a lot of things that you probably don't know. We're going to get into maybe a little bit of his background and share a little bit about himself. But tonight we have our executive judge here in Magoffin County, Mr. Matthew Wireman, and he's going to come here and join us in just a second. And we really appreciate him. We need to give him a big hand for all his service he does for us. Thank you, Judge.
Golf clap, everyone.
I don't want to clap too loud, it'll hurt my ears.
Got her tied in here, don't you?
Welcome, Judge. We like to stay close here at We the People of East
This is
Kentucky.
close quarters.
Judge Wireman, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, got a lot of things going on, and I really appreciate you all coming out here. We've had a lot of great guests. We had Representative John Blanton was with us last week and learned out the week before last, and got a lot of knowledge from him about what's happened in the legislature and stuff. And the thing was so good, and we even had Mr. Caldwell on here. Jimmy Neal is with us, and everybody looks at some of these figures that we have in our communities as, their title and their position. And a lot of the people that responded when Jimmy Neal was here, they said, well, that's my weatherman, and the one great thing about that was they got to know a little bit about his heritage, his background, where he come from, and they said, well, gosh, I didn't know all that. All I knew him was my weather guy. Now they know he's a kind of a hometown hero and things. And it was the same thing with the Representative Blanton. He came and shared with us things at the legislature, and we really appreciate that, and a lot of people got to know him. So we have really our political leader, I guess you could say, an administrator we have tonight with Judge Wireman here, and he's going to share some things with us. But I'd love to ask you a couple questions, maybe, Judge, about your background and what did you do where'd you graduate from school? Where'd you go? And is this home, or are you a transplant, or?
No, you know better than that. I'm a lifelong Magoffin resident, except for my stint in the service. And
Yeah.
they sent me as far away as you could go by sending me to San Francisco for 3 years.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was quite an experience,
So
I'm
they didn't-
sure.
So they didn't keep you in America, huh?
I went as far as I could go without going overseas.
San Francisco is pretty happening town, pretty
Yeah.
happening
Hold on just a
place.
second.
Wait,
Having a mic
closer.
issue. Once again, thanks to our producer, Big John.
Yeah, it's good to have him.
Oh, yeah,
I'll tell you.
never rocking.
All right. Well, but I did. I graduated from high school here and went to Prestonburg Community College for a couple of years.
Up there, PCC at the
it's
time,
now
I guess.
Big Sandy Community Technical College now.
Yeah,
And then that's when I went into service.
yeah.
I came back here in '92 and finished my degree up at Morehead State in accounting.
Yeah.
Actually, started in accounting because in high school, my father being military police, state police, and sheriff, I wanted to go along the law enforcement track. And he told me that probably need to take accounting so I could learn to fill out forms, because that's what a police officer do a lot at that time. It was getting more into that. But
Yeah, yeah.
I found my niche in taking high school accounting, and it served me well
Yeah.
doing that and going into the military and coming out and getting my degree in accounting. And
Now, what did you do after that?
obviously, I was school finance officer for a long time.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I was actually finance officer here in Magoffin for a couple of years. Went to work for the Department of Education for a couple of years as a financial analyst.
Wow.
Went to Covington Independent for about 6 months and finished my school finance career out in Floyd County Schools, neighboring counties, up until the point that I got elected judge.
So you're one of those number crunchers and things, right?
Yeah, I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy. It's more organization than numbers.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Business.
So would you say that your degree in accounting has been beneficial in politics in the socioeconomic stance, and that you kind of get an idea of the numbers and the way things are going to run?
I think from looking at what the legislature may put out and what the economic indicators are, that it definitely benefits me in my role. But I think more than anything, having been a school finance officer and a somewhat larger district in our area, and managing a $70 million budget for all those years, helps a whole lot in my role. But dealing with the number of staff and people helped a whole lot. Being military helped a whole lot. There's a lot of factors. Being a student of leadership, there's a lot of things that people in leadership roles, the good ones are students of leadership. If you're not continually growing as a leader, you're not going to be very successful, because any leader that thinks he knows it all, not a leader. He's just a placeholder, or he's there for ego or whatever.
$90 million budget.
Well, it was actually, it was 70 on average, but depending on whether or not
Gosh,
we was,
that's a lot.
yeah, Floyd County School is a pretty big district.
Yeah, it is.
Comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
You go to Fayette and Jeff County and those, and it's not. But
Now, you were there how long now? You were there a while. weren't you?
I actually went to Floyd County after I left Magoffin with the department, and worked over there for about a year as part of the state management team. And then, like I said, I went to Covington for a little while and came back and left there in December of 2018.
So why in the world? I know a little bit about your dad's background, what he meant to Magoffin County. He was one of the unsung heroes, I guess you could say a lot, but being with the accounting background and all that, and dealing with budgeting and administration of people and all that kind of stuff, who were your heroes growing up? Especially, I know your dad was, but maybe other than your dad, what made you decide to switch vocations and get into county administration?
And now, wait a minute, let's make the stipulation that we go to our representative too. John Wayne does not count.
John Wayne.
I can honestly say I don't know that as a child I had a hero.
Really?
I had interest growing up.
Yeah.
But I kind of was an independent. Obviously, You see people, celebrities and those kind of things that you may admire for whatever niche they had. But to say that there was somebody that was my hero growing up, I wouldn't say there was.
So is there anybody that you kind of patterned maybe your personality after or like to be like? Because, John, what was John? Representative Blanton said that he naturally said two people, didn't he?
He said
The first one he said was
one of them give me bug eyes. That was
Ronald
Mr.
Reagan,
Ronald Reagan.
I think. Yeah.
John and I are just a year different in age. We went to school together.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so we grew up in the same era.
Yeah. Yeah.
I followed national and world politics and history, and again, being a student of leadership, you follow and read about those folks and what they did do and didn't do, or what they could have done better, and you've seen what people say about them.
Sure.
But to point to any one person, I don't know that I modeled myself after anyone. Growing up, you mentioned my father being my hero.
Yeah.
Growing up, he was my father.
Yeah.
And not necessarily my hero growing up. Did I admire him? Absolutely. Did I fear him? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did I respect him? Absolutely. Did I love him? Absolutely. But to define hero, I don't know that growing up that was the case, because I had to live in the background of someone that everyone knew.
Yeah.
And I was, whether I was a adolescent or a teenager, that's Chalmers boy out there.
Yeah.
It was always Chalmers boy. So
Yeah, that's tough.
I wanted my own path. But as you grow older and you start remembering back to the things that he said or done and taught me, that's when the hero came into play. Because still to this day, there's the discussions that we had as an adult or things that he told me growing up that I can refer back to.
Yeah.
Dad's been gone almost 17 years now.
Wow.
And as a child, you remember, the good things and the bad things. And when he was state police, I was very young. Dad quit the state police in '74, so he was only trooper around 5 years, but legendary status. But the things that I remember are those kind of tragic things. We lived in a trailer across from where the Cheesecake Lady place is in Royalton.
Yeah, Steve.
And I can remember him coming through the back door one night and coming down the hallway with his badge torn off.
Oh, goodness.
And blood coming down his face.
Really?
So that was a traumatic thing to remember about him in the state police, and that's really about all I remember.
Wow.
But then as you get older, and then the more him working, he always provided.
Yeah.
And when I came out of the military, it was more of a buddy and best friend kind of thing.
That's the kind of relationship I have with my father. But I thought it was really interesting today at the NBA Combine. They're out there scrimmaging against each other, and immediately, right off the bat, guess who they were on to? Bronny James. Because here they were looking at him and trying to put him in the same mold as his father, and that's got to be a horrible, tough thing to go.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it also it's a sense of pride to say that was my dad.
Yeah.
But, it is, and like I mentioned last week during our podcast, or maybe it was week before last. One of the things, you grew up as Chalmers boy. I grew up in the family I grew up in. So one of the things about growing up in a small town is that by having family that is well regarded in the community, that automatically gives you a step up in the community, and that they know, your fellow community members know, okay, this is a good kid, this is a good guy, he's going to grow up and be all right.
So, how in the world did you make the transition from school financial director into politics, or even the thought of it, or what got you heading that direction?
I can honestly say that for the majority of my life, this was the last thing I wanted to do.
Is that right?
I watched my father. He was sheriff 13 years.
Wow.
Started running for sheriff in '77. Won the primary and then had a recount and lost. Won again in '81 in the primary and lost in the fall. Then was successful for 3 more terms and decided he didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And my taste for politics and people at that time as a younger man I didn't see that I had any value to offer. But with Dad being gone and people starting to look more towards someone to step up,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't have any individual person push me any way, but I got involved in the local Little League. Started out probably when my son was 8, being involved and got on the board.
Wow.
Then ended up being the president of that league for about 5 or 6 years,
Wow.
trying to get things from local and state governments to help benefit the children in that league, and wasn't very successful, and it led me to run for magistrate. And then once there, it just kind of was a natural progression. Everything, you know, I'm one of those folks that everything happens at a specific time for a specific reason. I believe timing is everything, and you make choices in life based on where you are in the timing. And there's times you make decisions, it's the right decision at the time. It may turn out to be the wrong one, but typically for me, everything has been about timing. And here I sit today in my second term as judge, and again, I never thought that would ever be the case. I don't consider myself an overly political person in the common definition of that, but here we sit.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's a great thing to be able to, you know, at least you have the gumption, I guess you could say. That's an old term that Mama and Papa used to use, to get up there. And it's amazing, you know, like when we were talking to Representative Blanton, he said people came to him and asked him to run. And because I think people look at certain people in our communities, and, you know, that's one of the things we talk about here with the people of Eastern Kentucky is leadership, like you've described here tonight. You know, people gravitate to those people. And eventually they place them in that position because of, you know, the success that you probably had with the Little League, and they saw the leadership traits there, and they said, well, he's a guy that we need to do a little bit more for us and stuff. So it's a good opportunity, I think, for people to get involved with some of their community things.
Have you noticed the commonality in all the people that we've spoken to, just about all the people that we've spoken to in a political fashion? One of the commonalities that I've noticed is everyone that we've spoken to has in some way been some way tied into law enforcement or military background.
Oh, yeah.
Or something similar to that, because anytime you're getting into any one of these careers, law enforcement, military, EMT, political career, all of those are specifically designed around the idea of service.
Yeah.
You're trying to help other people and you're trying to improve things.
You know, I know one of the things, I was never in the military. I never had that opportunity, I guess you could say, but the discipline, I guess, that you can get as a foundation to put in your life, and the people that I've talked to about that. My uncle was over in Vietnam, and he would explain a whole lot to me about boot camp and all that kind of stuff, to where, you know, they train you to be a soldier. And, you know, I've noticed in my lifetime and the different things that I've done through sports and all that, being captains of, you know, teams and things like that, people push you into that position because sometimes they don't want to do it. And they don't. Sometimes I've seen people pushed in that position, and they weren't ready for it. And so leadership is something that I think is really within you, maybe. And sometimes people are hesitant to bring it out or be able to do that or whatever. Or what's your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, leadership itself is it's a discipline. To say someone's born to be a leader, maybe, but you got to condition yourself to be able to withstand the ups and downs. One of the things that you'll hear a lot in leadership seminars and books and those kind of things is lonely at the top, and that's not.
Everybody want to take pot shots.
Everybody does, but you can't be. You know, servant leadership is what I try to subscribe to.
Okay.
I don't want the position for power, because there's a difference in power and authority. I don't want it to be in front of a camera. I've always been the guy. I'm a doer. I like getting things done, but I've never shied away from being in the public.
Right.
I started doing talk meets in the 6th grade, and standing up giving speeches.
Yeah.
And the very first one I gave in 1980, 81 was on inflation. In the
Oh,
sixth
is that
grade.
right? Oh, my goodness.
So I should have known then that maybe this is the route I was going to take.
So we're going to bring him back for a special session on
Yeah,
inflation,
What
because we
would
got the
sixth
guy
grade
right
you
here
be
to do
thinking
it.
about inflation now?
And right, and I kind of would like to find my flashcards on that and see what I said there.
That'd be all right.
Yeah, but leadership is a discipline, and you have managers and you have leaders. Dr. John Maxwell, if you read anything that he puts out,
He's good.
leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, and that is just the basic premise that you got to have a vision. If you're a manager, you're steering the ship, but the leader knows where you're going.
Yeah.
And it's just like in my position here, I'm not trying to be the poster child to do things for ego. I genuinely wanted to make life a little easier here, because that's what I believe this role is. It's not to satisfy my ego. It's not to help my children get a job or my friends to get a job.
Sure.
Life is hard in Eastern Kentucky, and it takes leaders to get things done. I think right now the group of county judges that we have in our immediate area are mostly in that leadership category and in that servant leadership category. But it takes work. I think you've got to continue to grow as a leader. One of the first things I've done when I got elected is NACO, the National Association of Counties, has a National Leadership Institute. And CACO paid for the tuition for anybody who wants to go.
Really?
And so
CACO's a great organization.
Yeah, it is. And I took that. I've been to leadership sessions and groups and all these things across the nation. I've been to Gettysburg and Boston and all those things, because you got to continually grow as a leader, and you got to have that leader's heart. And you can either be a servant leader or a self-serving person in a position, and I just don't subscribe to that. That's what makes this job actually difficult for me. Standing up and saying, "I done this," well, that's just not me.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. Is your life a little easier? I hope so. And to do that in this job with a finite amount of money is really tough, because we got a lot of folks out in our county that have done without for a long, long time when it comes to services from the county. A lot of things people don't realize. We have over 900 county roads.
Really?
And if you put them all together, they go.
Magoffin is a pretty good sized county.
It is, but
Yeah.
those roads stuck together go over 300 miles. Now you take a little over $1 million coming from the state, try to pay your staff, try to buy diesel fuel. That doesn't leave a whole lot. So that's why we're constantly looking to the legislature and the governor and all those to get extra funding to do some of the things we do. We got FEMA projects. I know we got folks out there that live on roads that need blacktop. I know that we need to control dust and all those things, but how do you do that? Everything needs to be hard topped, but you can't do that. That's millions and millions of dollars. And even though during specific time frames when a lot of roads have been blacktop, well, those roads are starting to wear out. And you got to resurface them.
That's right.
Well, then it takes time and it takes money.
Time and money.
And we're working toward that. Water, prime example. We're 2024. There should be no excuse for anybody not having clean, safe drinking water. Now, sewer's a whole other story, because geographically, I don't know that the solutions that have been employed are the best, or maybe the only, but I don't know that they work the best.
You're speaking about the gravity feeds.
Yeah, it's a tough system, because I know we got a lot of folks that have it, that the grinders is going out and they can't be replaced, and that's different entities dealing with that, not me, but I get the calls.
Right.
But again, getting back to, if I can make people's lives a little bit easier, then I feel like I've been a success, and that plays right along with helping with the schools and other public entities to make sure that we all are working together, and not just here in Magoffin. We can't isolate ourselves.
Right.
I think for too long we've had a bunch of fiefdoms across Eastern Kentucky, and everybody put these invisible walls up and don't want nobody coming in and don't want to work with their neighbors. But I don't see that as much anymore.
Do you think that's possibly learned behavior?
Well, we are we're clannish.
I mean,
we
just-
came from Europe, so we are clannish.
And that's one of the things I was talking, I mean, specifically the Appalachia region in particular, lack of transportation, in the previous times, we've created sort of an isolationist mindset.
Well, but again, our ancestors were clans coming
Yeah.
from Europe,
Right.
so we maintained
Stuck
that.
to each other, yeah.
Right.
And I think the 4-lane of the Mountain Parkway is opening up eastern Kentucky, and it will be in more ways, hopefully, that it's bringing people in, and we got to accept those people,
Yeah, we do.
because the more people that leave here, or if we stay stagnant and declining, means that we have to pay more just to maintain the services
Yeah.
that we have now.
That's right.
Well, I mean, even nationally speaking, we're not at replacement levels right now, so we need people coming into the area.
Well, I really think that we've done a lot of good things, and particularly, and I'm going to brag on you a little bit, with your administration coming in, this being your second term, I know some of the things you've done for the servanthood type leadership, the park systems that you've incorporated. I would like for some of the people to know, and this is not a bragging mode, but when you and I have talked in the past, there's a tremendous amount of things that I think our viewers don't know that's been accomplished and things have been done. I know that I think Pete, in our first meeting with him, when he was talking about when he was mayor, he was bragging on, Judge here about how he was able to go down to the city park here, and get some things done. But there's a lot, people are all easy to step up and complain, but there's been a lot of things done, I think, since your administration's been here. And I'd like to just touch on a few of those and give you an opportunity to share with, the people of Eastern Kentucky, really, a lot of the accomplishments that you've done here. And then probably a follow-up question would be that, leading into, like you said, with the Mountain Parkway, economic development, what are some of the things maybe down the road that are coming that you think will have an impact on us here in Magoffin County and then also in Eastern Kentucky?
We're talking about first the parks.
It's up to you, yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Brag on yourself a little bit
Well,
here, Judge. No, I mean, you've done a lot of good stuff, and people need to know that.
Well, one of the things is, again, our community's out away from our population center here in Salyersville. When you go, we call it up the river, but it's heading down south.
Yeah.
There's been nothing up in that area. And that's been historically that way. So we've got to invest in things that people can do there as a community. One of the things that happens in rural areas is that we get tied to whatever governmental services that we have. And historically here, our ties to communities have been tied to the elementary schools. And each elementary school out in the county, whether you was at John T. or Royalton, Salyer Elementary, Middle Fort, Middle Tennessee, Prater Borders, all those,
Go Chiefs.
but those communities, that was your gathering place. That was
Was
your
your
meeting
niche,
place.
yeah.
That was where your children went to school.
Yeah.
That was
A grade school
It's a
basketball.
destination
A
place.
grade school
yeah.
basketball game would hold 80 people.
it was your identity.
Yeah.
But when those closed, we've tried, I think, to some success, to fill those voids of identity with the local volunteer fire departments.
Yeah, I
But-
see that.
But that's nowhere near the impact of a school.
Yeah.
So to replace that, we've got to start having those gathering places and those places to do things. And that's why I started making the push to build up our parks. We had the land at Bloomington. We've added a bathroom and blacktop the parking lot. And we're going to have a basketball court there very soon. The half mountain park set in
that's
it's an
beautiful.
absolute beautiful location.
It is.
So having those things already, I mean, I didn't have to go get them; they were there. We just had to expand on my vision and the vision of others. I seen drawings and renderings of potential things to go there, and I saw the potential with our coal severance monies that's remaining to increase those things and make them better. And that's one of the reasons at Half Mountain I built a stage. I put a playground in and the basketball courts.
Yeah.
we've since acquired the property at the old John T. Arnett School off the South Magoffin Activists.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so,
Great.
you know, that nonprofit group
Yeah.
had that site. They, you know, not being part of the county, they don't have the access to all the funding sources that the county does. So they are still there. They still are performing their services and doing those things, and for the most part managing the grounds for as long as they choose to do so. But we're going to be putting a new playground and some other amenities up there, and we have got grant applications in at the federal level to build a community center.
Wow.
We're somewhere around $4 million.
Now,
Jeez.
is the population size justified towards head of the river like that?
I think for the standpoint of population, the folks up there are not underserved, they're unserved. And anything that they do,
It's grateful.
they have to go across into Floyd County. If they're going
Yes.
to get gasoline, if they're going to buy groceries, if they're going to go to the doctor. So if we can build a community center up there, we can have that local center there that can have the clinics, that can have birthday parties and anniversaries and all those
Absolutely.
things, and
Okay,
not
so you're
run
hoping-
out a
you're
lot of
hoping to do-
gas driving to Salyersville.
You're hoping to do
those things.
clinics
Oh,
and
that's
stuff like that
awesome.
as well. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a multi-purpose facility.
That's
Okay,
great.
Yeah, that's
and,
great.
And be able to do whatever, because now they got nothing,
Yeah.
literally nothing. You know, like I say, there's unserved and underserved, and they are unserved.
Yeah.
And because it's almost 30 miles from here to the county line, up Route 7.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can leave. I've been up there looking at roads and drive to
Down
the
towards
north of the
David and
county.
all through there.
Well,
down
that's still, you could keep on going.
Keep on going?
Yeah,
Wow.
to the head of Lincoln. Yeah,
Wow.
so
there. Gee.
the areas that I would like to find some land and do some things is in the Middle Fork area. I know that the church over there is doing great things, and now that they've got the gym open over there, they're able to start playing ball and doing that, so that may fill that void some that's in that part of the community. You know, you start going up the 40 way, it's kind of close to town, so the town parks, Rainey Memorial Park, we've spent a lot of money there. Like I said, one of the reasons I'm sitting here is lights at the Little League field.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
I-
Pete was talking about.
I started when I was president of the league trying to get something done with them and couldn't never get anything done. I got magistrate and still couldn't get anything done. So as judge, that was a priority to me because what, you know, the Little League, it's youth baseball. Little League is actually an organization. This is a Cal Ripken affiliated league here. But there was no lights there, and you're talking 200 to 300 children. Then when you start bringing parents and
families,
grandparents
yeah.
and all that,
Yeah.
and you're trying to fill the games and have enough of a schedule to be able to play and no lights or unsafe lights. The poles were bad, the electricals. I went in there and you flip the lights on, it will arc, just unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness.
But the lights were not cheap.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it cost over $800,000 to replace those lights.
Yeah, stadium lightings are tough.
And so when I started, it was $500,000. So in that time frame, it went up that much.
Oh, imagine what it would be now.
Oh, it'd probably be $1 million now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we got that done, and then you know, and probably as far as brick and mortar kind of things, you know, the proudest thing that we've done so far is our Veterans Memorial. I've saw so many of them out there with the flags, and I'm a flag guy. I got an American flag flying in my yard and have for years.
Me as well.
And I saw just different types of things, and I just got it in my mind that I wanted to surround our monument and our heroes with the flags of our forces.
Yeah.
And we got an engineer to design it, and out of the blue, we had a gentleman call us and say, you know, the State Veteran Foundation provides grants. And at that time, our estimate to do that was about $70,000. So we asked for half of it. And I got on a Zoom call with them and made my pitch. And they said they wish all the county judges was like me.
Yeah.
And sent me a check for $35,000.
Is that right?
It ended up costing $100 to do that because we added new concrete and a few other little things to make it pristine. And I think that's been accomplished.
I know sometimes that you're in a position. I know when you sit up there in that office, you think, oh my gosh, this is a lonely place. And some of the things that you're describing, like the servanthood leadership and stuff, really it hits home to me. What would you like to say, possibly, to get the community more involved? Because like I said, here with the people of Eastern Kentucky, our goal is economic development. We want community involvement. There are some things that I think maybe the community could help you or help support you, particularly if, you're in the planning stage or this and that. I think most of the successful things that I see in community are volunteer groups and people that come together to be able to support administrative leadership like what we have.
Yeah.
Is there something that our people out there in the county could do to help support you do something?
Well, I think first and foremost is to take care of what we got.
Okay.
Community pride.
Yeah, absolutely, and to not let folks tear stuff up. We've got right now. We have some of the best looking parks in the area, and like I said, we're building those up. We're going to have a new playground at Ramey Park out of the floodplain in the coming months.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We're going to put it on down toward the softball field. We're going to put the splash pad in. The old playground will be removed. I'm looking to build a stage there that will be there for perpetually, so that Community Day and whatever else can have events there.
Yeah.
But the number one, community involved, we got to take care of things. We had some vandalism at the Bloomington Park last week.
Appalachian Insider reported on it. Yep.
And I don't, some people say I'm trying to be big brother, but I got cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So we knew pretty well. We got them on camera. All you got to do is go on Facebook, you find those folks.
Yeah.
So we know who done it. We're in the process of dealing with that through the court system.
Yeah.
But number one, we need involvement to take care of what we got.
Okay.
We need, I'm open to any and all suggestions. I've tried to put a couple of different committees together on community involvement, community development, economic development, working on doing that again now that we've got industrial park full, and we'll talk about that, I guess, in a minute.
Yeah.
But there's just that, again, that community pride. We got to take care of what we got.
Yeah.
And once we get that done, then people will be involved and be involved for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I don't need self-serving involvement. And sometimes we get that way because we never had anything and we want something for ourselves.
Right.
Again, I want to make life a little easier. And something that I'm going to need involvement with here pretty soon, and I'll be putting it out more formally in the coming days and weeks. We've had this opioid settlement funds that's coming in, and the Attorney General and the state, CAECO and those folks, we've struggled to make sure we spend it right, because this is not allocated from a legislature, from the Congress, from anybody. This is a court order. So there's rules and stipulations on that we've never had to deal with before.
Yeah.
So we haven't spent any of it because we just had the Attorney General's office and CAECO come out a little over 6 weeks ago now with some specific guidance, and there's still a lot of gray in it. But my plans are to put together a committee of local folks, because I have folks that are wanting their hands on that money.
No, I'd say.
But we've got to do a couple of different things with that money. One is we got to prevent opioid abuse. We've got to enforce the laws on illegal sale of drugs and opioids. We got to educate, and we got to treat. And I think treat is probably the biggest cost portion of it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And there's programs out there.
Partnerships you could get with people, probably.
Right. But this is a supplemental type of funding. And what that means, and folks that dealt with school finance know this better than anybody, you either supplement or you supplant. And by supplanting means that you're replacing money that you already got with another money.
That's right.
This is not the case. So if you've already got an entity that's doing things in the opioid field, this will be to enhance that or to make it better or to make it grow. It can't replace money that's already there.
Right.
So that's been one of the struggles. We've got the local mission here. We're going to work with them to try to expand their services. We've got obviously the sheriff wanting to get into the schools and educate and be out here trying to prevent illegal sales. So we've got some things, but we need to have the community involved in that.
I'll tell you, one of the things that came out of last week when we had Sheriff Meade, Bill as our guest, he couldn't brag enough on you. He said there's times in this situation, particularly the role that he came in as being sheriff, being his first term, and he said we didn't have things. We didn't have cruisers, we didn't have computers and everything, and he said, I can't say enough for Judge Wireman for what he has done for us every time that we have gone and asked for him to be able to help us and support us as a department and things of that nature. I mean, he did nothing but sing your praises and things. So, a lot of times people don't get to hear that. But it's good to see, and we also talked about this factor because we all know that Bill Meade is a wonderful Republican out there, and your background is Democratic. And I said, we were talking earlier, as you said, one of the biggest things in eastern Kentucky has been municipal governments and county governments never saw eye to eye. I know it, particularly being from Johnson County originally. There was a lot of fights between the county and the city guys, and I want this and I want that and I want to toot my horn and this and that. But the great thing about it is I think in Magoffin, much like you said, we need to come together and take care of what we have, and we see those in the leadership that we've been able to get with Sheriff Meade and with you, Judge, is people may have difference of opinions politically or whatever, but it's nice when they come together and work together for one specific cause. And I can say my experience of being here in Magoffin for almost 15 years now, that wasn't the case in the past. And we've seen and maybe turned the corner of those opportunities where people will work together and maybe support some of the efforts and things, what you're describing. So.
Terry, if you don't mind, because we are running, we're kind of running into time. I wanted to segue because you kind of mentioned it just a little bit ago, which would have been a good segue, Judge. I wanted to segue towards something that is near and dear to me. You mentioned Route 30 and that area. And I mentioned it.
Industrial park and things.
Yeah, and we wanted to get into the economics a little bit, as we have a little bit of time. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about plans towards Route 30. I know there had been talk about blacktopping on the ridge and tying that into Tip Top, and I was also hoping to hear a little bit about the economics for the industrial park and stuff like that, if you wouldn't mind going into a little detail.
What do you mean on Route 30?
Just any kind of economic expansion plans that are set up for Route 30. Has there been any talk of anything, or is that still just kind of in the planning stages?
I mean, that's where we need the public and whoever on Route 30, if we're looking at a flat place to put anything, there's, other than on the down and around area, there's not a whole lot of space.
Yeah, Connolly Farm, that's about it.
Well,
that and then on around beyond. But as far as that area, the potential for economic growth in that section of the county is going to be the ATV trails.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That in itself, if we sat here on Thursday or Sunday, you would see millions of dollars driving back and forth up and down the parkway, going somewhere to spend their money with an ATV, a side-by-side, 2 or 3 side-by-sides trailing behind.
Yeah.
The Hatfield-McCoy trail system in West Virginia is where a lot of these folks are going, because they're going there and it's a designated state routes that are designated for the trail system, and people are buying permits. I think 80% of the permits that are bought up there are people that live 80 to 100 miles away from.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that's how much money's coming in. The economic impact, I think, last time I looked a while back, was $20 million a year or something in those 12 counties. So what does that do? How does an ATV trail system benefit us economically? Everyone within a riding distance of a designated trail has the opportunity for people to park and camp. And you go up Craft Creek or Board Tree or any of those drains and hollers off of Route 30, and you're going to have the potential for people to put up small houses or cabins or campgrounds or whatever, and that's making money over just in your sleep.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I know that's been a big economic boon in areas like that is, the richest person in the state of Kentucky owns storage rentals. So one of the things that I know that's been a big economic boom in places like that is storage rentals. People will come in, they'll buy their $20,000 side-by-side. They'll store it up. When it comes riding season, they'll come, instead of having to haul everything, they just come in, pop their locker.
Yeah, and that's
their
in
stuff.
Hatfield, McCoy. A lot of
Yeah.
there's folks that fly from all over the nation and around the world
And,
to Huntington and take some kind of shuttle ride down to those areas and ride ATVs all weekend and then put them back in the shelter and
Right.
head out.
One of the things that I was mentioning with Representative Blanton is that the reason that I bring this up is because, in my mind, ideally, I would love to see that whole breadth of the bridge. Well, you know what they call the fire trail. That whole line, just small businesses, homes, development back there. And then, obviously, he mentioned the fact that there's no bedrock. So, the idea for massive buildings is probably a little out of hand right now.
Yeah.
But small business and development back there is possible. It's feasible.
One of the things that they tout with the Hatfield McCoy Trail is this guy had 300 acres on a reclaimed strip mine. And he started out with primitive camping. And 10 years later, he's got hundreds of sites and he's got multiple cabins and a general store. And he's selling 5,000 permits a year.
Is that right?
So just that in itself is possible here. And that's where the Mountain Parkway is going to open it up. If we have the opportunity to buy some property and build some trailheads near the system, one of the reasons trying to be forward thinking is putting the stage at Half Mountain. That is a secondary road, and at times maybe have some kind of festivals up there that are ATV type of events.
Yeah.
Right. Well, as you know,
That's one of the things that for the public and the people in those communities will have to get on board with, because there's going to be people around, and we like our peace and quiet and all that, but we got to sell what we got. And if we're ever going to grow, we got to bring people here. If all three of us are sitting here with a $5 bill in our hand, and you're selling one thing and you're selling one thing and I'm selling another, I buy it off you and you buy it off him, we've none made no money.
It just stays right here.
And we got to bring that money in. And to do that, we got to have things for people to do. And recreation is vital to economic growth.
Yeah, tourism is the thing I think we really need to focus on. We've got a neighbor that's really by chance it's happened to down at Slade, down there towards Powell County and stuff like that, and Wolf County. And I know a lot of people up in that area when I was out in the campaign trail. And what it is at first they used to rent spaces. They'd rent a house, or and they're from New Jersey and New York and Massachusetts, and now those same people they have rented for so many years are now buying the property. And it's an opportunity to where, we might be able to do it, to come in and do that here as well. So I think tourism is one of the fastest growing things for us in our area to make happen. And I think anything we can do to get behind that and fuel that would be good.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, Judge, you talked about Board Tree. Is if you're on Board Tree, you can get on Board Tree, be on the Breathitt Ridge, and then around to Tip Top on a 20-minute ATV ride. They all just tie in together. So,
I had Morse take the guys around the other day, and they went and left from up on Board Tree and rode 58 miles.
right,
Really?
yeah, you can ride the Breathitt Ridge all the way to Tennessee.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's one of the things with this trail system. We are connecting all these counties together.
Yeah.
And all the judges pretty much work together. I talked to the Johnson County judge and the Pike County judge this evening before I came here. We're constantly in contact. We're working together. We want what's good for us is good for them, and vice versa. And this is one of those things. It's just getting buy-in, getting funding to get going.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that people are going to have to grasp at some point, because it's going to be new. And some of the complaints I've heard is, well, we bad enough we got our drunks run up down throwing beer cans out and doing all that. Well, these are people that spending $100,000 a year going out and doing these kind of things. That's not the clientele. They're not going to drive 300 miles to go trash your property.
They don't have that much.
And the legislature has mirrored the laws on these trails after other states, and it indemnifies the landowners. And basically what that means is, if you are willing to give just that section or trail, you're not giving it to them, you're letting them have an easement on it. It indemnifies you from anything that happens. If somebody gets hurt on it or something bad, God forbid, happens, that's on the state. But right now, people's out here riding and crossing people, and every single one of them, unless they've asked permission, are trespassing.
Oh, yeah.
And if they get hurt, the landowner is liable
Responsible.
for negligence.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing, and part of the fees and all those things that are generated from this type of trail system go to maintaining the trails, to policing the trails. Hatfield McCoy is policed by law enforcement. They're not just some security guard. They're retired game warden, state police, whatever, and they're doing this for a second income, and they have law enforcement and civil enforcement, criminal and civil both.
Wow.
So they can, you be fined. So those are the type of things. This, if we can get it going, always the startup is going to be the roughest part. But once we can get everything mapped and get all the legalese and paperwork done, I think that will be a big draw here. Instead of driving on another 120 miles, they're going to stop here.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you and Mark and Ray seem to be pretty tight working together on a lot of things.
And Robbie, we do too. And
that goes back to what we were saying before. That wasn't a thing in the past, and I think the attitude about that has really changed.
Well,
and now gotten better.
We talk about Democrat and Republican. If you want to go state and national, that may be an issue. Here in Magoffin, we're all Magoffin County.
We're Eastern Kentuckians.
Yeah, and then we're Eastern Kentuckians, and then we're Kentuckians.
Yeah.
But one of the things that early in my first term, people would say, "Well, I can't believe you're blacktopping this road. I'm a Republican." I'm like, you're in Magoffin County. We got the money to resurface this road. We're going to do it.
That's
or
right.
I'm going to gravel it, or I'm going to clean the ditches. I'm going to do what I can with the limited amount of resources I have, and it's worst first. I get totally that there's people out there that live on roads that they see that every day, and they see that pothole every day, and that's a major issue to them. So that makes it a major issue to me. But I've got to deal with the worst first, and that's how we try to do things, and we try to address everything. But never, ever has it or will it be based whether you got a DRI or whatever beside your name.
Right.
I don't care.
There you go. Well, that's great. I think that's the attitude of a lot of people. They don't have that attitude, and they should. We got a few more minutes. We want to keep it because we know we've been out there, and it's a pleasure to have you here. But tell us a little bit about the industrial park real quick.
Well, the industrial park obviously was built by the spoil from the Mountain Parkway. One of the things that we've done is got $1 million grant to do the soil testing because it's technically an engineered field, but still got to have all the geo testing done before facilities can be built on it. But included in that AML grant was gravity feed sewer for the length of the park going to the station that's already there.
The infrastructure, yeah.
We've already got the water there. We completed that last fall.
That's great.
We got the power there, and we got broadband there. Foothills does an outstanding job, and our power companies, both AEP and Licking Valley, do. and so we've got everything there. So early on, actually finalized it last year. Emerald Energy is going to build their headquarters there. All they're waiting on is for us to get this AML project done, or at least on their end.
Sure.
We last meeting inked the deal with Tech Center to build their technical school there. They're building a school that's going to have 20 to 30 employees, and initially the goal is to have 200 students there learning all the trades and heavy equipment operations. And then we have 5 acres left that we will be building a 50,000 square foot pad, not necessarily putting the concrete on, but prepping it, pre-pad, if you will. And we had this group that presented at our last fiscal court meeting, or maybe the one before, Frontier Housing.
Okay.
And Frontier Housing primarily helps fund and help people buy and build homes that are low income.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they have found
Similar
is
to Habitat.
out of in southern Texas, in the same type of setting, socioeconomically depressed area where there's a lot of low income housing needs, a nonprofit group that's real similar to Frontier Housing has had some engineers come up with this design process and manufacturing process to build low income housing in 12 by 12 squares. And it gives those folks that are able to buy that a less expensive way to build a home. And it's all the federal funding and goes along, subsidies, you can get it, but they have a say in what those pods are, so they have some choice in their home. It's just not a boilerplate 24 by 40 house block.
As they say in the business, spec housing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it was amazing to me. I was at Costco the other day, and Costco now has a home, and it's about what you're talking about, 20 by 20, that folds out. And it's already there,
I've seen something about
That's
those, yeah.
amazing to me that it comes in on a truck, flat, and then all of a sudden they start folding
But
the
this
walls out.
actually is stick housing. It's 2x4 walls. It's concrete. It's
Is
block.
that right?
Yes.
Awesome.
So what they do is they want to put their assembly plant on the industrial park.
Well, that's great.
So the last 5 acres, they do that. Their goal is to run 3 shifts of 25 people per shift. So
Okay, so-
you're looking at 75 jobs
That's
just
great.
at
Okay.
one location.
All right, so when you were first talking about it, I'm thinking that you're saying that they want to build housing on the industrial park, and I wasn't following
No,
that.
they're literally wanting to
plant.
have a plant there
Yeah.
where they'll build the 12 by 12 squares based on their order.
Okay,
And Frontier Housing being in the financing for low-income housing, they're going to have
They can
all the
help
things
them.
in place. Then it'll get the order there. Then it'll be built. The sites will be prepped with foundations and the block and all that. Then they'll bring and set it up, tie it in, run all the plumbing and electrical, put a roof on it, and it's done.
so you're going to see a lot of real estate investment by them as
Absolutely,
well.
and that's what Frontier has been doing. They're looking for spots all the time to
Okay.
be able to acquire,
awesome.
to build low-income housing on.
That's great.
They're a nonprofit. This is not something that somebody's trying to make $1 million on. This is literally something that's out there to help people
Well, it's serving the people too.
and be providing jobs,
And-
Yeah.
which.
And we are housing starving in the area. I mean,
We are.
honestly.
We do. If we're going to grow economically, we've got to have housing.
Bring people in. Well, it's that witching hour. Yeah, we've been an hour. We don't want to keep the judge any longer. I know he's had a rough day and things of that nature, and he's got to get back to his family. We really appreciate Judge Wireman coming in and sharing with us a little bit about himself and his ideology on leadership and all that. And you can tell by what he has done here in Magoffin County that we have one of those great leaders, and in our case, maybe one of the hometown heroes too, whether he may not want to admit that or whatever. But we appreciate his time here coming tonight, and we appreciate you all listening here, we the people of Eastern Kentucky. We're always constantly interested in economic development, community involvement, and some of the things he's talked about tonight. Get in there and roll up them sleeves and help him, and see if there's some way to do it. It's a little bit more than the voice working. We got to get out there and roll up our sleeves and help a lot of our leadership and things in Eastern Kentucky. And that's what we
Positive
wanna do.
community activism
There you go. We need to do that.
and community pride.
Yeah, and we don't really care about the political impact that does. We want to do that for we, the people of Eastern Kentucky. So with that, have you got any other closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, one final thing. Once again, we want to thank all of our sponsors. As with every other episode, this will be available on YouTube for download and viewing, as well as Spotify for listening to on the go. So you can listen to Judge Wireman's silky smooth voice on the go in your car.
Well, that's all we got for tonight, gang. Come back with us next week, and we're going to have Zach Hall will be here from down near Perry County and share some insight with us. But we want to thank Judge Wireman for being here tonight, and we're going to sign her off tonight. We're we the people of Eastern Kentucky, and good night, and God bless.